going to also help you to answer those questions as well. Then, if there are some that probably require my attention, yeah, I'm going to ask them. But although I'm going to answer them, otherwise, facilities is going to be answering your questions on the chat here. When I have time, I'll come back to them and we'll try as much as possible to treat them together. Okay, are we excited? We're excited. Leave an emoji so I can see how excited we are. All right. Okay. Awesome. 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 Okay, I'm going to present my screen now. Presenting my screen now so that we can delve right into it. Okay, my stream is coming up. I hope you can see my screen. All right. I assume you can see my screen. Yeah. Please confirm.
Yes, we can.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for confirming. Okay, so today we'll start from the start first. What is UI UX design? Yeah, what are the differences? Like the word UI and UX. UI actually means user interface, while UX means user experience. And the both of them actually are interrelated, connected. When you are building any web application or when you're building any product, actually, you need to have a very good focus. As much as the focus on the UI, you have to also focus on the UX. Recall what I said UI means the interface. For instance, this Figma app we are seeing here, this is the UI or the user interface of Figma. There's a whole lot that is on Figma's interface that makes it quite easy for me to use. So the people that built Figma had done several research, understood their user behaviors, who their users are. For instance, I'm the average user of a Figma, the same with everybody here on the call. And there are some things that make us there are some things about us that are quite similar. So they've actually done some research to understand who we are, understand our needs, understand our goals, what we want to achieve, understand some of the pain points that we'll probably be experiencing in actually using apps like this. So a whole lot of research has gone, and if you notice, it is quite easy for me intuitively to understand what is going on here, and it's going to be easy for you as well, everybody, to understand what is going on here. So this almost kind of mirrors the normal behavior of every application. Yeah. So for instance, I have arrows here, drop down arrows. I understand. I know intuitively, I know that when I click on this arrow, I'm going to see some other menus. So if I click here, I see some other menus as well. I'm seeing another arrow that is pointing, another right arrow. I know that when I hover over that, I'm going to still see some other actions as well. I can take. I can actually take some actions with as well. The same with every other one as well. So understanding who your users are, understanding their behaviors, understanding they are going to use how they are going to be interacting with the application, yeah, is what the UI or the UX part of it is all about. The UX part of UI UX design, understanding the user experience, yeah, that is what it's all about. So if you notice here on this my Venn diagram here, you have UX part of it here and UI. The UI have to do with all the interface, the layouts. For instance, layouts. What we mean by layout is how your design is actually represented on the screen. Yeah, your visual design, which is almost the same thing as well. Your branding, usage of colors, usage of fonts, and all those. And prototyping as well. Prototyping, whilst the UX have to do with, like I said earlier on, who your users are and how they are behaving and how they're interacting with your applications. So things like usability testing have to be conducted. User research, don't worry about this. You will get to, if I were you, I can actually take some notes down to some of all these concepts or some of all the text we have here. Because of time, I may not be going into them one after the other, but best believe that we will definitely get to deal with them at a much later time during the course of this program. So the UX part of it have to do with usability test, user research, experience maps, use personas, interviews and surveys, and the likes. All right, so let's quickly move on from here and talk about some of the fields in UX design. Yeah, when I mean by UX design, I'm actually also talking about UI UX design. So don't I may actually be using them interchangeably. So some of the fields in UI UX design, we have UX researcher. And who are those researchers? So initially, I already told you that UI UX is actually a two-in-one field. Yeah, not just a two-in-one field. There are several responsibilities of several persons in that team. So you have a UI UX team or a product team, a product design team, and there are several people with several responsibilities in that field, in making sure that you build a robust design solution. So a UI UX researcher, or sorry, UX researcher is someone who specializes in research aspect of product design. That is who the person is actually. And the person's role is to understand your user, understand them at like the basic level. And there are several actions or several responsibilities that this person takes on in understanding the user behavior. So things like Adikun said this earlier on previously about user personas. The job of a UX researcher is to actually first of all, understand your user personas, then understand your users, then build out a persona from your users. And the way that that is being done relates to more or less when I'm building a new product, I would first off conduct a survey or conduct an interview to understand some of the challenges that users are currently experiencing in that field. Or if it is a new app or something that's not been done previously, I probably may actually also bring new people as well, introduce the concept to them, and also try to understand what they are, how they are going to actually use that kind of app in the real world. Understand who they are and how they are going to likely relate with such design solutions or such solutions, and they will also give me some ideas as well as to there are some things that probably I may not have actually considered that they would throw us, they would throw they would throw light to, and I will get to start building out a user persona. So such groups are called focus groups, and there are several kinds of ways of gathering those data, and we'll be talking about them in a whole lot later on in the course of our session. The next one is actually an information architect. And who are these people? Their goal actually, or their role actually, is about the structure of the content across the website or the app. Yeah, so I recall I talked about previously the UI of Figma, and I talked about when you over this or click on this drop down arrow, there are a couple of icons here or a couple of actions that user can take here, and logically it makes sense to group all these things together. Yeah, I don't expect to see under, for instance, on that file, I'm seeing things like maybe help on that file. It doesn't make sense to actually group help on that file here. Yeah, so um, the role of actually an information architect is just like this logical means of grouping data information on the application, so it's easy for users logically to make sense of your application, to move from point A to point Z. So let's assume right now, just like building a blueprint. Say I am traveling from Lagos to, say I'm going to maybe Ibadan as an example. Yeah, there is a map, and the map shows the blueprint of how to get from Lagos to Ibadan. And recall, or if anybody has used Google Map, I want to believe everyone here has actually used Google Map, and you are actually in the live mode. You will hear the voice of the map or the app telling you to take left, take the next right, and the likes. So if you have not gotten to a particular area or a particular destination, you can't. The prompt is not going to tell you to take left or right. Yes, so there is actually a blueprint of where you're going to, and there is a logical means of getting there from point A to point B. So that's what also the information architect does as well. Yeah, logically they tell you that this is how your users are going to interact with your application. They should likely move from point A to point Z in this format, in this route, yeah, in this order. So they are all about the order of the content on your application. While you have the UI designers are basically people who are about the graphical user interface. Yeah, they build out the user interface. Recall out, I want to believe everybody here understands what the user interface is by now. So your UI designer designs the graphical interface. So he plays around with things like colors and fonts and all those. Yeah. So let's quickly move on to the UX designers. The UX designer right now, yeah, thinks about the experience of the user, how the user feels in achieving every of those action. So the UI designer has built something. The UX designer is thinking about what's the experience of the user in navigating what you have built. How easy it is for them. Yeah, what are their pain points? What are the challenges in doing that? You don't want to get users to the point where they are frustrated in using your application and they just go out. Yeah, and think about your product as a business, because every product that is out there is actually a business as well. And if your product doesn't meet business goals, the product has failed. So the UX designer is all about your users, how they are able to easily perform actions. I mean, this there's actually a quote right now that talks about a good UI design. A good UI design is one that you're almost intuitively, it's just like you're not even aware that design is there. Yeah, you can intuitively know what to do. You can intuitively know the next action to take. But a bad UI design or UX design is one that you are trying to figure out. Okay, so if I click on this button, where will it take me to? What will I do? Yeah, this button is not. It's not. I don't even understand if I click on the button, what will happen. So those are bad UI design or UX design. A UX designer ultimately thinks about and also analyzes how easy it is for users to be able to achieve a particular action. So the next one is a UX analyst, and kind of similar to the UX designer, yeah. But the usability analyst focuses on the very specific aspects of the user experience. So let's break it down a little bit. So usability here refers to how user-friendly a product is. Is it efficient? Is it memorable? And is it also easy to navigate for a first-time user? So they measure things like the success rates. Yeah, they measure things like bounce rates. They measure things like error rates. They also measure things like user satisfaction. So just think of it like this. Yeah. So you know what a data analyst, and I want to believe that everybody maybe you would understand what a data analyst is. You analyze data to bring up some conclusions from the data. That's the same way what a UX analyst does as well. Yeah, you analyze your process to bring up some conclusion from that process as well. Yeah. So for instance, I talked about moving from point A to point B or point A to point Z. Think about it also with respect to your application. Yeah. So let's say I'm building an application where a user is going to buy or purchase, say, tea, yeah, or coffee, a coffee shop, an app for a coffee shop. Yeah. So the US analyst actually measures right now when the user comes into the application, what's the average time a user is able to use to make an order. Which of the processes is actually a blocker for the user? Where does the user experiences challenges in actually making an order? Yes, so US analyst analyzes all those data just to make sure that at the end of the day, users are able to do things and achieve things swiftly, so quick, and the business goals is actually being met as well. The next one is a UX writer. So UX writer actually is people that bother with all the whole copywriting on your screens, on your product. Yeah. So I'm always going to make reference to the fact that whatever app is being built is for a business as well. So there has to be special messaging, yeah, that is actually directed to your users, making them to feel as if okay. So for instance, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about the UX writer because this is not our focus for this course. But we have something called a design system or a UX writer. So a UX writer at the initial start of a project may actually decide that what tone of voice do we want to position our app or our content with. Do we want it to be friendly? Do we want it to be professional? Do we want it to be playful? Do we want it to be cautious? So there are several. You need to first of all understand who your users are to then recommend a tone of voice for your content. So let's assume right now that when I did the research, the users were found to be people within the age of, say, 50 upwards. In fact, it's going to be so unreasonable for me to start using playful tone of voice for people above 50. So it's going to be so useless, counterproductive. And that is why it is important for you to understand who your users are and who you are building for. When you understand them, you'll be able to now create content that really is tailors to their experience. It is very, very. My network is breaking. Can you all hear me? Please confirm you can hear me. I want to be sure.
I can hear you perfectly well, sir.
Okay, thank you. So,
I can hear
Bukayo,
you.
all right, thank you. So, Bukayo, I think it's from your end.
I can hear you.
Thank you. All right, so the UX writer have to do with basically the messaging of the application, understand who your users are, and create content that also falls in that regard. And there are several also some other rules that you have to pay attention also as a UX writer. You have to pay attention to, so for instance, how you want to your sentence structures. So all those are things that there are things that you need to also focus on as well. And the reason why you have to focus on them. So I've spoken a whole lot about this, all this. And the funniest thing right now is that for any project you're going to be going into, let's say, I'm going to also assume that a whole lot of us here, when you are going to start out your career, you are going to likely fall in, or you're going to likely work in a small team in a startup organization. And in a startup organization, when they employ you as a UI UX designer, you're going to be doing all these things together. Everything you will do the work of a UX researcher, you will do that of an information architect, you will do that of a UI designer, you will do that of a UX designer, an analyst, and a writer. So you need to actually have like a basic understanding of everything. Yeah. So during the course of this course, yeah, you would be learning about a whole lot of them, but not every one of them. And I want to encourage you that beyond what we talk about in sessions like this, all this is actually to give open you to the possibilities of what you can achieve as a UI UX designer. But I'm not supposed to teach you everything. I can't even teach you everything, honestly. It's not possible. And even if you go to if you say you want to go to a school where you pay for it as well, they won't teach you everything also. And most times people don't value sessions like this because they don't pay for them. But I want to encourage you, yeah, the value and the lessons you're going to be learning from this whole experience is going to be so beneficial to you. I wished I had someone also to tell me what I'm telling you also when I started, but you are lucky that you are hearing all these things right now. Take the best advantage of every one of them. All right. Okay, so we're done with the fields in UI design or UX design. Any questions so far? If you have a questions, just type it in the chat box. Yeah, and we'll come back to it. So because of our time, I'm going to quickly move into the next one. UI designer versus UX designer versus product designer. I know that some of us have been hearing about, some people have been trying to understand what's the difference. Who is a UI UX designer? What's a product designer? They're kind of related. They're kind of similar actually. Yeah, so we're talking about the three of them to know who is who, what is what. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the three with respect to some certain focus areas. One of them would be primary concern, area of primary concern. So a UI designer right now will be asking, does it look good? Does it look colorful? Does it look intuitive? Is it aesthetically pleasing to the user? While a UX designer will be asking questions like, is it user friendly? Is it effective? And a product designer will be asking, does it meet business and user objective? So right now, look at this. Look at a product designer right now as a UI UX designer that doesn't only focus on just the UI or the user interface. It doesn't only focus on the user experience, but it also focuses on the product, on the business goals as well. So his mind whilst building solutions or design solutions is not only focused on how nice that thing is looking. So it may be nice, but it may not be meeting user, it may not be meeting business goals. Yeah, it may be nice, but it may not be user friendly or effective. So product designer is more like a robust, someone that has like a robust view of this, and he's able to navigate all this moving forward. I'm not sharing any slide, so I'm going to encourage you to pay attention. Yeah, slide is not being shared. All right, so next one is focus area or research focus. Yeah, so the UI designer asks about aesthetic feedbacks. Yeah, aesthetic here being how nice it looks like, how clean it is, how good that design is. Whilst user design UX designer talks about the user needs and user pain points. I've talked about pain points. I think this is the third time I'm talking about pain points. I'm going to briefly explain what a pain point is. So let's assume right now user is making use of an application. For instance, there was a period where, or there's this app where I think it's actually popular. If you're in Nigeria, you should know about this. It's a web app called ah what's this app called again? Um I can't remember the name of this. I can't remember the name. Oh my goodness. I don't use it. So I know that people is the name just keep coming to my mind. Someone perhaps can help me. Who is the name of the owner is Sheung is it Osewa? What's his surname again? Um
Naraland.
Thank you. That's it. Nairaland. You will agree with me that Nairaland is actually a trash in terms of UI, in terms of UX. It's a trash application. But people still get value from it because it's actually a place. It's more or less like our own Wikipedia, where you can get to see a whole lot of discussion, conversation about around a particular topic. Yeah, but they have not morphed, they have not improved on their solution. So you still have a very, very old design, a whole lot of buttons everywhere, a whole lot of text everywhere. It's easy for you, it's so difficult for you to navigate the application. You have to do a whole lot of scrollings for you to see something. So that's the very, very bad design solution. Yeah. So a UX designer thinks about the pain points. What areas did user experience pain in using the application? So for instance, one of the such areas, for instance, would be think of this right now. When you want to let's say you want to pay for a particular item with a mobile application. So you want to pay for let's say you want to order a ride on Bolt. Yeah. Your button to pay, let's say your button is at your top left. The pay now button is at your top left. Now, just try to imagine. Can anybody tell me what one of the pain points you're going to be experiencing while trying to make payments? Anybody?
I think you may not be able to. If sorry, can I answer, sir?
Yeah, please go ahead.
You may not be able to locate it enough. It may not be too obvious. And
Okay.
another thing is most people are. I just want to add that most people are right-handed. Left-handed people are scarce. So if you put something on the left-hand side of
Yeah.
the right-handed person, it will be problem.
Mhm.
Just like most of the doors that we
Yeah.
see in the whole world is made for right-handed people. Doors, handles, mouse is made for. So that's just my opinion.
Awesome. 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 So the problem there right now is accessibility. Yeah, how easy it is for user to access that button. So the user has to, if I'm using, let's take for instance, look at my phone right now. Yeah, I know you probably may see it well. Yeah, I will have to literally hold my phone in my second hand to be able to click that button. I can't click the button while holding my phone with my hands. Yes, that's a pain point already on its own. So those are that such things are things you have to watch out for also whilst building a design solution as a UX designer. While the product designer thinks about the market needs and also competitor analysis as well. So let's look at the metrics right now. Some of the things that the user, these people measure. UI designers measure the pixels and use visual alignment, which is a thing very, very valid. UX designer thinks about the time on task and error rates. How long does it take to actually perform a task? Product designer thinks about conversion rates. Who are the people that are coming later on to buy? Retention rate. How many people come again yet to use my product after their first time? So those are things that whilst last one, outcome measurement. So the product user designer thinks about the visual consistency. They think about brand alignment and responsiveness. UX designer thinks about the user satisfaction, how easy it is to use, reduced error rates, successful task completions, while product designer thinks about just the overall product success, user adoption, market fit, is it fit for the market, and the business goals achievement. So right now, if okay, should I share this? I'll probably share this one later on into your group. This last one, I'll share to your group again, so you can still see some more about this whole concept of who a product designer is and also who a UI designer is and a UX designer. All right. So If you have a question, like I said, we have covered again, we have hit another milestone. So everybody here right now knows who a UI designer is. Everybody here knows who a UX designer is, and everybody here also knows who a product designer is as well. Fascinating, amazing. If you have questions, note them down. Let's move on. All right. So the next one we're going to be talking about is product design life cycle. So right here, I'm talking. Recall I've already introduced you to product design from this last concept here. Yeah. So let's talk about the life cycle of a product design. What I mean by that is the stages. Yeah. What the user or what the designer goes through in product design. Some of the stages in product design. So let's look at the first thing. What did I write here? All right, okay, I've already talked about this. Product design lifecycle refers to the stages involved in creation and development of a product design from inception to its finalization. Let's move on quickly because of our time. I'll just move on to this. So the first thing that is actually involved under product design is research and discovery. And it is very, very vital. It is very, very important. You see, most times people make jokes like saying that designers don't like getting feedbacks for their design. Designers don't like their design to be critiqued, which is a bad thing. Yeah, as a good product designer or a good UI UX designer, you must be one that is open to critique. You must not take critique as though somebody is attacking you. Yeah, but take it as though somebody is looking for a way to improve your user or to improve your product. So one of the things we're going to be doing during this course is that we're going to be critiquing our work together. So as much as all the facilitators here are going to be critiquing your work, yeah, every other person actually encourage you as well to critique every other person's work. But there is a but to it. There are actually ethics, yeah, in critiquing somebody else's work. You must not attack the person. Keep your critique to be a message of whatever it is you're trying to establish, and bring it like a suggestion. Not just a suggestion, but you should also bring some of the principles or some of the laws that you feel that whatever design has been created is broken. So there are several UI UX laws. We're talking about that at a much later time, maybe in the class 3 or so. You're talking about some UI UX laws. But whilst offering your critique to somebody else's work, you must make sure that you are very cautious in offering critiques. So I said that because I was referencing research and discovery. Whilst building a product, it is very important that you understand who your users are. I've talked about that over and over again. And it doesn't make sense that, okay, so let's talk about it this way. Let's look at it this way. So let's assume that company A wants to build up a product that does booking of tickets for a cinema. They'll come and meet you with their business goals. Okay, so this is what we want to achieve as a business, and we want you to build up a design solution for us, yeah, to meet all the challenges that we are currently experiencing in ticket sales. So you are going to read their product brief to gain a very good understanding of the products. And when you have done that, you will now build up on what you have seen or what has been passed over to you as the product brief, to start understanding, okay, who are likely going to be the users. Yeah, so yeah, I understand the users are going to be likely people who are young. So people, if it's a movie ticketing app, I don't expect people that are, although there may be, yeah, we will definitely have people that are way older using the app, but I will try as much as possible to keep my design solution to a target audience. So in fact, I want to establish this right now, that when building a product always have a niche market. Yeah, always has its market. And you cannot obviously build for everybody. Let's just assume right now, there's this popular saying that you can't please everybody. Yeah, you can't please everybody. It's not possible, actually not possible. So you have to come to a place of compromise. Yeah, okay, does this product meet at least 60% need of general audience, but does it touch 100% of my niche audience? So I need to focus on my niche audience very well. Make sure that I'm satisfying because that's the place where I'm going to likely get 80% of or 90% of the sales. It's called a Pareto's principle. Pareto's principle, I'm going to type that down. So I believe there's some other people know what Pareto's principle is. Pareto's, yeah, Pareto's principle. So it's more or less like building it's called also called the 80-20 principle. And what that means is right now that you would build a solution. I think I'm trying to relate Pareto's principle right now in design. Yeah, you will build solution for 80% of your or 80% of the audience, I beg your pardon, 20% of your audience, yeah, which most likely will be your niche users. Yeah, 20% of users are going to be your niche users. Yeah, but you have to make sure that you satisfy their needs 80%. Then let's talk about the other 80% who are not going to be your users. Yeah, but probably will maybe have maybe one or two, yeah, coming to use your product. Then you also need to make sure you're satisfying them at least 20%. At least 20%. Yeah, but it's actually recommended that you try to focus, you also try to satisfy them to as much as 60% as well. Okay, so I've talked a whole lot about research and discovery. Yeah, and there are some steps, there are so many steps involved in research and discovery. Let me just talk about a few of them. So look at some of the research methods. Yeah, you have, for instance, usability tests. What's usability test? Usability test is actually when you are building a product. Let's assume that right now you have built a product to a particular level. You're trying to understand how easy that product is, or how easy it is for your users to use that product. So, for instance, I'm actually also taking some other um, design track design track on learning UI UX design, and they are currently in the process of conducting their usability test. So they built up a solution, and they're trying to see that the solution that they built up, it solved the problem they discovered during research. So it's all of them. I mean, all this process actually also is involved in research methods. Yeah, you have field studies, and in these field studies, researchers actually study participants in their own environment. So researchers go into you will go into your user environment and study how your users are using that product. Yeah, and they are not conscious that you are studying them. Yeah, they are not really aware, but you are trying to catch your users at the point where they don't even know that you are studying them. Just as an example, yeah. So there are different research methods right now. There's one called interviews. Interviews is actually one-on-one method of discovery. In an interview, the user is likely going to tell you what you want to hear. Yeah, they will also be studying you to make sure that you are satisfied with the answer that you are giving to them. That's why it is important to make sure that you are robust in your research methods. Yeah, of course, there are actually ways to mitigate against this in interviews, in user interviews. You have to tell your users that don't think about me, don't think about my facial expression, don't think about, in fact, don't even try to please me. Yeah, be brutally honest. I want your brutal honesty. But even at that, users would, people are people pleasers. Even no matter how I tell you that you should be brutally honest, you will also measure the way I'm receiving that information to make sure you're not hurting my feelings. So it is best, yeah, and to mitigate against it, you just go into the user environment themselves to understand them and see how they're using your product. All right, so you have contextual inquiries. This is the whole lot. I'm going to probably send this to you. Should I? Okay, I would. I would. I'll send this one to you. I'm not sending everything. I'm not sending every one of them to you. The original will come contain me about the slide. I'll send this to you and also this as well. All right. So you have contextual inquiries. Now, researchers and participants collaborate together in the participant own environment to inquire about and observe the nature of the task and work at hand. So this right here is more like the field study, but in this case, the researcher is not just studying the participants right now, but both of them are collaborating. They are discussing the participants' challenges together to come up with a solution together. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Just give me a second, please. Give me a second. Right. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Hope you can hear me, everyone. I had to receive a very important call. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So far, so good. Are you enjoying this? Are you learning something?
Yeah, awesome.
All right. Awesome. 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 Okay. So, okay, because of our time, let's quickly move on. I need to touch about a little bit on Figma as a whole. So far we've been talking about UX design, the research process. So there's a whole lot here, but I would leave it to you guys to. We'll probably come back to it later. Yeah, because of our time, we need to rush now. So I'll leave it. We'll come back to it later. So let's move on to the next one, ideation. So in this space, you've already identified some of the pain points and some of the challenges users are actually experiencing. And this point is a point we are trying to now start thinking about the solutions, crafting out solutions. Yeah. You see, you explore multiple design concepts based on the insight you gather during research phase. Yeah, this is very, very fundamental. In this phase, you do a whole lot of collaboration. So if you're working with other designers, yeah, you guys are going to come together. There are also some actions, there are some methods that you probably may adopt in this space. There are methods called, for instance, crazy eights. And what is crazy eight? Crazy eight is a method where you would come under, let's say under like 8 minutes. Yeah, you all would, let's say you have maybe like 4 designers on the team. You all will come together under 8 minutes each. You're going to be drawing out like quickly. You draw different sketches. Yeah, you can use paper and pen, you can use the computer. I mean, you have to make sure you are doing it as fast as possible. Yeah, you all are designing some solutions, yeah, that solves the problem that you identified, I beg your pardon, during your research. And there are also methods like what's this word, other one called, you can also, in fact, at this point you can also engage in design sprints as well. Yeah, you'll get to understand what design sprints are at much later on in your journey. Yeah, but there are several other methods that are actually involved in this ideation. So I wouldn't say a whole lot about that because we'll definitely get to experience them later on in this. So now, once you have actually sorted out your ideation, you can then start moving on with your designs. Yeah, so when every one of you have done, let's say you use crazy eights to get your ideation, yeah, and you are all satisfied. For instance, let me show you something quickly. Let me see if I have access to that. Oh, have I closed it? Oh, snap, I have. I want to show you something. I want to show you one. Let me see. Design. Let's see. Design. Okay, I think this is it. I want to show you something about the crazy eights. Yeah. And how they're able to move on from here into their designs. So this was done by the other designers that I'm actually taking as well. So if you notice here, these are, if you look at this representative people's name, this is Chidima, this is Aliu, this is Ore, and every other person as well had their different sketches. So when they did their sketches, they came in and started having votes. If I zoom into this, you'll see some votes. Yeah, look at this person voted this particular screen as something to move on with, or this particular feature, not a screen right now, or this particular feature, and the same like that for every other section as well. So when you do this, you will likely also look at this person. This person used sketch alone, paper, biro, sketch. There is no one method here. You can decide that you want to use your, for instance, I have my my drawing tab, my drawing pad, I beg your pardon. I use my drawing pen most of the time when I'm crafting my sketches. I use my drawing pen to draw out my low fidelity wireframes or my sketches, I beg your pardon. I use my drawing pen to draw out my sketches. You can use your paper and pen, but make sure you are doing it and you're doing it as fast as possible, and you are getting to understand and see all the users' challenges and getting to build up on users, solve the user problem while designing. So let's quickly move on. Where is this? Okay, so once you have settled out on a particular design you want to move on with, you will then move to the next level, which is called, you will most likely be doing your low fidelity designs at that point. Low fidelity designs are designs without colors. Yeah, you don't want to pay so much attention in colors, and it is very advisable that when you are designing, you take a design in stages. If I'm designing right now and I start my design from high fidelity, I'm going to waste a whole lot of time. Why is that? I'm going to be considering not just if I am I'm not just going to be considering if I'm actually meeting the solutions or if I'm preparing solutions. I'm going to consider also how it looks as well. If I combine how it looks with how it feels, and I'm trying to design it at the same time, I will spend a whole lot of time. So it's better for you to first design out at the very, very low level. Yeah. If this solves the user problem, how it feels to the user. Yes. Placing your buttons at correct locations, making sure you are using the right set of text and copy, making sure you're using the right also fonts as well, icons, the right messaging, the right designs. In fact, there's also different kind of designs. We'll talk about that later on as well. So there's a whole lot for you guys to learn, but let's take this one step at a time. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So after this, you want to do your testing and iteration. And I want to pause here. And the reason why I'm pausing here is this. The job of a or UI UX designer doesn't end on a product. It doesn't. Let's assume right now WhatsApp. I don't know how many people started using WhatsApp when it came out, but I was part of people that started using WhatsApp when it came out. And I will tell you that I can categorically say that WhatsApp when it came out, they are miles apart. I mean, miles apart. There are several updates that have come up on WhatsApp, several updates. And how is the product being able to still remain relevant is because there are UI UX designers on that team that are always listening to the users, listening to the problems the users are facing, and always, almost immediately, designing solutions to solve that problem. A quick example, about 3 months or 2 months, not a month ago, thereabout, there was this update that WhatsApp brought out. And that update, there was this challenge that when you're reading through your story, with just a light click on your story, it closes. Previously, you can actually hold on your story before it closes. You can even still drag and play around with it before it closes. But the update just closes it probably was a glitch or a bug. But the researchers always was listening to the users to understand, are they getting the best experience with this application at every point in time? And when they picked up that, they were able to quickly conduct, I know that they must have probably conducted a design sprint quickly and fix that problem and pass it on to the developers, and the developers quickly pushed it out to fix the problem and push it out again as a new update. So testing and iteration is a constant thing that needs to be done as a UI designer or UX designer. You need to always test your product, always listen to the user to understand or to make sure that your product is at every point in time solving the problem it's meant to solve. So this is one of the jobs that AI cannot steal. So it probably may actually take the job at a much later time, but not anytime soon. AI cannot take our work anytime soon. All right, so the next one is handover and collaboration. So after you have done all your designs and you have built up the high fidelity solution, you want to hand over your design to the developers. And developers are people are going to take your designs from just the way it looks like on Figma into a real life experience. So you need to make sure you are passing on these designs properly. So you need to document your designs. We probably may deal with that later on. But for now, just know that as a designer, when you have finished your design, you need to document it before you pass it on to design or to developers. So you need to document your things like design implementation. So you need to specify. As an example, I'm using a new word. You need to specify your margin, your padding. You need to specify your font sizes. You need to specify the exact color you are using, the shade of color you're using here, and all those. If you don't do that, developers will probably not even know. They don't have time to be clicking every content to know what have you used here. You need to be able to, at a glance, show your developers what you have used. Also, your interactive elements as well, things like your buttons, your fonts and icons, and all those. You need to also specify your interactive elements for them, the different states. For instance, there are different states of your design. When you hover over your design, as an example, look at this. You see what happens when I hover over this? That's something you need to also pay attention to when designing as well. So your interactive elements you need to show that it is really interactive, and you need to pass on to developers the behavior of every part of your design pattern. Yeah, those are things you need to pay attention to when handing over your project when you are done with design. Then the last one, not is the last one, no. The sixth one is design validation and production. So the design undergoes further validation to make sure its functionality. So you see, after you are done, you have shipped off your product. Yeah, let's assume that the developers have built it. Yeah, you need to also test it in real life right now. Yeah, you need to, you see, you are more or less like a supervisor of what the developers are doing. Are they designing, or are they coding? Are they developing what you have exactly built? So your job doesn't only end when you have pushed it onto developers. You need to also make sure that they have done the exact thing that you have designed. Because trust me, most developers have that challenge. Honestly, most times you see there is this cliche that they say developers and designers always fight. And why do we always fight? We fight because we have designed something, you're not coding what we have designed, you're not building what we have designed. Sometimes they fight that we are doing too much. Yeah, but anyways, you get to understand some of the inside jokes that we experience also as designers. Also, then the last one is life cycle management. And all this, I talked about the maintenance. Yeah, I think I talked about this previously. I was talking about when I was talking about the WhatsApp, that it keeps going on iteration. Yeah, you need to also, sorry, just give me a second, please. Give me a second. It's raining here. I need to shut my. All right. So I was saying that this is more or less like the continuous management of the application when it has finally launched, to make sure that it is always at every point in time solving user problems. So things like design updates, improvements, adaptations may be made based on user feedbacks, market trends, and technological advancements. So for instance, we have AI right now taking over the whole landscape. We need to start thinking progressively. So if I design something, say maybe 2020, where AI wasn't really like out there, yeah, I need to start rethinking now into this market about how AI can make my user achieve their work at a very, very simplified way. Yeah, so all these things are things that influences your design management, or your product management at a much later time. All right, so we've come to the end of the first phase of our course today. I'm going to pause now. I've been talking too much. Yeah, I feel I've said a whole lot, and I want to make sure that everybody's catching up. Everybody understands what I'm saying. I'm going to pause now for questions. If you have, I know that we talked about you should leave your questions on the chat, but I don't see anyone. Well, I'll stop now for any questions. Does anybody have any questions? Please just signify with the raise of the hand, and we'll be taking them one after the other. Okay, one question. If you have questions, just raise your hand. I want to see how many questions we have before we move on. All right. Since nobody else is asking questions, Maya, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. I learned a lot that I've not learned before. First, yeah, so I want to ask a question. Apart from, and this in terms of personal growth, apart from UI UX design and let's say graphic design, is there any other thing that Figma can actually do? That's one. And then secondly, as someone that's in my current phase now, my stage now, I need advice on what do you think I can do to move to being a beginner to be very good, or to improve my skill. Do you think it should still be in the area of watching YouTube videos, because the information out there can be so much and it's a bit difficult to take one and stick with one. There are so many YouTube channels. I have a whole playlist on my YouTube. Yes, on if I send you on UI UX, I'll just put there. So, or do you think doing case studies, or what will you advise on in my level that started February and now it's November and has done some work? to like improve, like the next step, sir.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right. I'm going to ask other facilities are here. Besides, do you want to take this question? Perhaps question one. Is besides she here? Oh, she's not. All right. So I'm going to quickly answer that question. The first one, what else can Figma do
I'm
aside?
here.
You are? Oh, you're tech transit. All right, please go ahead. Do you want to take the question? The question is asked.
I think I heard that it's
The first
thinking
question
what
is what?
advice, career advice at this stage, right? Okay,
No, the
if
first
that's
one is
what
the
the
first one is
question
what
was.
else can
Okay, okay. Go
the
ahead
first
with the
one is what
question
else can
again.
Figma do? Yeah, what else can Figma do aside what I've actually explained right now, which is I've talked about designing frames and all those. Yeah, aside that, what else can Figma do?
Okay. Okay. Figma can do illustration. It can help us with illustration.
Yeah,
It can also help us with what call it mm, I'm trying to remember the name. But yeah, illustration off the top of my head. Illustration is what I can think of, right? And you can do prototypes as well. So when you've completed your design, you can do prototypes. You can do sketches with like those drawings are also illustrations. So yeah, it's still illustration. So yeah, that's anything design basically. You can do it on
yeah,
Figma. But now, recently, Figma introduced a new feature which involves dev mode. So if it's something that interests you as a designer, you want to explore, for sure, you should be able to play around with Figma for that. And I think pretty much that's it. Design, illustrations,
mhm.
then you can
I
also
think it's also
do
a slide. You can actually
what
also do slides with it.
did you say?
I think you can also do slides as well, like presentation slides. You can
Yeah, you
actually
can do
animate your slides
slides.
with Figma as well. Yeah,
Yeah, you can do your PDF documents. You can design them instead of using any of those documents. Just download them, design them, then download them. Pretty much. Yeah, that's it.
yeah. Okay, thank you, Busayo. Okay, so the second question is about an advice on the career track. Yeah, what would you advise someone that is I think he explained the level he is right now. What would be your advice? Did I get your question correctly, Mayowa? But I guess you got the question, so you can
Yes,
just
yes, yeah, you got it.
yeah.
Um, I'd say that for now, right? I think you should try on group projects. If you see any community that maybe they're taking on a project, right? Or you have someone that is very passionate, right? That is like, okay, I'm going to do this personal project. You can say, oh, can I offer to join or volunteer to join your personal project? Yeah. And once you volunteer, I want you to just pay attention to yourself, like pay attention in the sense that you want to know what part interest you. Is it the UX part? Is it the UI part? Is it the writing? But it's just important for you to find your strength, right? So once you do that, right, once you find your strength while working on a personal project, right, I think you could proceed to um work on a portfolio. But then, if not, just tell people around, people that I'm learning this skill, I'm doing this, so that an opportunity can come through referrals, right? Because typically when you just start, you might not get a good offer like that. The offers you might get might be through referrals, right? So you can get to work on a actual real life project, even if it's for a it's the money might not be good, but just work on it for, yeah, then you can build another portfolio. The first portfolio is the one that you volunteer, the second portfolio, whatever. Do that, then maybe you can then start searching for job options. I don't know if that answers your question, but typically that's what I did. I worked with a couple of friends. We worked on a project together. I got an offer, luckily, a month after my training, and I found my strength thanks to the two projects I worked on. I found, oh, I really love research, right? I can do design, but I really love research. So it's important to find your strength so you can strategize yourself on LinkedIn as that person. I think that will be all from my end. Ken, what do you think? I don't know if I
Yeah,
answered.
thank you. I think you pretty much covered it all. I think you pretty much. I don't think I need to say anything again in addition to that. Yeah, volunteer. Yeah, look for places. She has said it. Look for areas where you can volunteer to prove, start putting some of your skills into practice right now. And I feel also that you don't have strength in the research part of this. Yeah, I feel you don't. So I think that this is actually the best time for you to learn a whole lot about the research part, because it's a two-in-one thing. And when you do, you then become a very robust UI UX designer. Of course, it actually depends if you want to major as either a UI designer alone. If that's what you want to do, fine, you can keep progressing from here and making several advancements with this, and of course apply for internship roles and on-page role, open source projects, yeah, where you can get to explore and show how open you are, and how yeah, open you are to working with others. Collaboration is a very important thing, and users of recruiters want to see how you're able to collaborate. Most times they want to see if you're able to collaborate as well. All right, so Toby, before I think there's a whole lot of questions here on the message. So if you can answer any one of them,
Thank you, sir. Thank
chat.
you.
You're welcome. If you can answer any of them in the chat, I'll be grateful. Yeah. Toby, go ahead with the question.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. It was awesome listening to the knowledge gained from you this afternoon. The question is this: as a beginner in UI UX design, like I'm just a raw beginner. I actually love tech, so I wanted to like be a part of it. So I was like, where can I start from? If I got this opportunity to be here. So the question is this: can you recommend a YouTube channel that you know is good? Because there are a lot of information overload out there, and I don't want to get stuck into them. Just like what I think Mr. Adegon has said. Can you recommend a particular channel that we can be making use of during this training? Because I believe they would go in line together. Let's say before you train us on the next class, we would have learned something ahead. So that's my question. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I think I was going to actually even deal with that, but I'm glad you are bringing this up right now. The next phase of this session is supposed to deal with that. Yeah, I know that there are a whole lot of information out there, and if you're not careful, you would not you would make lots of mistakes. Just as an example, some of the people I was teaching previously or now, yeah, I taught them things about grid lines, grid systems, and I taught them how to use grid systems. But I realized that when I gave them a task and I was seeing the submission of the task, I was seeing something else. And I was asking him, how did you arrive at this solution? What made you decide to use this kind of grid system? And he said that when he was working on the task, a friend of his came to him and was telling him that this is how to do it, and this is not how to do it. So there's a whole lot of people that claims, yeah, that they are designers. Some of them rightly so, they are designers, but it is best you know your style. Everybody has their style, honestly. Yeah. And I'm not saying that teaching you're going to adopt my style. I'm not saying that, but you will likely also adopt some of my processes teaching you. Yeah. And it is going to actually make you to be fast in whatever you're doing. But I'm not saying that you should pay attention to, or you should use only what I've taught you in this experience. No. Recall when I started this session, I told you that I'm just going to teach you just a bit, and you'll rely a whole lot on other materials for you to come up to speed with this. So I'm not, yeah, I'm definitely going to be telling you guys and giving you, recommending some links on where you should read up on some of these concepts, recommending some videos where you could actually practice as well on your design skills. In fact, as part of your take home, you have a take home for this week. Yeah, there's a YouTube video I'm sending to you this week where you're going, it's actually like a 1 hour 20 something minutes video. Yeah, you can you can watch the video, do the tasks there, understand to the basic what is being taught there. Then when we come again together, I probably may be dropping another link again during the course of a week where you can actually still learn more about some of the concepts that I'm going to be introducing you all to. But sure, definitely I'm going to be recommending some of them to you. Yeah, I'll be definitely recommending some of them to you. I think that has answered one of the questions also on the chat here about places where you can get resources. I think that's answered one of those questions. All right. Okay, so let's now talk a little bit. Let's deal with a little bit with some of the questions we have here. The first one is, can you explain life cycle management again? Okay, that's the last one here. So what I said here is that after you are done with your designs and after you have shipped your product to developers, when your product is already in the market, you want to make sure that that product is always at the cutting edge. The product is always meeting user needs, and the user not having any challenges in using that application. So I said here, now your design, you need to consider things like design updates, improvement on your designs, adaptations may be made based on user feedbacks. So, if, for instance, let's say you list your product on, say, iOS Store or Google Play Store. There are reviews there where you get to see what user experience is like. And most times you will also see that when you are using product, let's say you're downloading a new product for the very first time and use it for say 10 minutes, they'll now ask you a question. If people will come to your screen, rate your experience so far. Yeah, those are the ways that designers are able to know some of the challenges that users are experiencing using the application. So life cycle management is just to make sure that product is always ongoing improvements, is always remaining at the cutting edge, yeah, of the product of the market. I beg your pardon. Hope that answers the question. Let's move to the next one. Do you mean in designing a product designer is the first? No. This question just showed me you're not paying attention to the class. I don't think I'm going to shoot this question. Should I? Okay, let me be merciful. This is just the first time. Honestly, if I see questions that I've already asked or already explained in detail so much, and you're asking them again, it makes me realize that you're not listening. And I don't answer those questions. Yeah, I only want to make sure that I'm answering questions that are more or less showing that you have been paying attention and you want to know more about what has been talked about previously. So pay attention. I know you're not talking right now, so some of you may be doing something else. Pay attention. I won't be repeating answers to questions I've already answered again. I won't. Yeah, but for the purpose of today, I will try. Just today. All right. Do you mean in designing a product designer is the first phase before going on to the UI UX designer? No. I already explained that you have several roles under UI UX designer or under UX design. You have the UX researcher, you have the UI designer, you have information architect, usability analyst, you have UX writer. The first point or the first phase is the research phase. If at any point you're in a large team, the UX researcher is going to be the first phase before going into the product design. I mean, that's the product design already. It's the first point of action. Is researching the product, researching what the product is about to achieve, the users, their goals, the challenges, their needs, and all those. So that's the first point of contact, or that's the first thing that needs to be done when building a product. Does the product designer need to be versed in UI UX design? I already explained this previously as well. Yeah. Otherwise, how can the product designer detail the design, picking up the front? Oh my goodness, this is just showing me that you're not paying attention at all. Okay, a product designer is a robust role. A product designer can also be a UI UX designer. He's also UI UX designer as well. Yeah, but in a large team, you can have several roles. You can have someone who is a product designer that is not even a UI UX designer. But the product designer already told you what the product designer focuses on. It's focused on the business goals. Yeah, and that is that. UI UX designer and the product designer can also function as a UI UX designer. He can focus as a UX researcher. He can focus as an analyst. He has it's just this broad. He has this broad understanding of the project. Yeah, he can function in any of those roles. So you see so many people put on their bio, they are product designers. Meanwhile, they are not. They're only UI designers, or they're only UX designers, or they're only UI UX designers. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Handover slide. Handover. I talked about handover previously. All right, handover. I talked about the fact that when you have finished your design, you have some things that are some of the elements that you use that are still repeated, or that were repeated. So things like, say, buttons. Yeah, your buttons must be consistent across your designs. Yeah, but you need to create a style for your buttons. You need to create a style, or yeah, you need to create a style for your colors. You need to create a style for your fonts. You need to create a style for your icons. So the reason we are doing that is so you can be consistent across all your designs. Then when you are now done with your designs, for the developers to be able to code what you have designed effectively, you need to document your design process. You need to document your design elements. So you need to document things like, say, your margin. Record, I said I'm going to still explain that at a much later time. You need to explain your margin, your padding, your font style. You need to document your usage of colors, document your content. You need to document them. That's your copy, I beg your pardon. You need to document your tone of voice. So it's more like a documentation of what you have designed. So it is easy for your developers to come in and see what you have done and easily implement what you have done. That's the purpose of a proper handover. Yeah. Then collaboration right now is that when the developers start building this, of course they won't build everything at once. Let's say today they build the home page, they'll pass it on to you. Does this align with what you have designed? If it doesn't, give us your feedback. Now you will now analyze what has been coded. You would then begin documenting some of the places that needs to be improved for your developers. It's just like a continuous thing, yeah, until your developer gets it well, and you know that your users are going to also find it very, very easy to navigate what has been coded ultimately. Hope that answered that question. Let's move on to the next one. My question is must one have a background in creative arts? No, you don't need to have a background in creative arts, although that probably may give you an advantage or an edge, but you don't. You don't. Unfortunately, you don't. Yeah. You see, most of what we're going to be doing here, we'll be talking about, I'll be introducing you to Figma for the very first time as a baby. Yeah, you don't need to have any background in design at all for you to make progress here, but you need to make sure that you have a teachable mindset. You need to be very, very open to whatever it is that's going to be taught you on this course. You need to explore. You need to learn fast. Be open to new ideas. Be open to new opportunities under design. Yeah, but trust me, there are several people that say as a UI UX designer that didn't have any background in this. Let me even ask Busai. Busai, did you have any background in graphics before you said UI UX designer? Before you started as a UI UX designer?
No, but then as a child I drew a lot.
Okay.
So there was already a creative part of me.
Yeah.
But my first attempts in joining on designing was with Canva. So I did it, and I did it so well that my friends called me, help me do my Instagram post, help me do. I didn't even know that it was a thing or something I can monetize until so I used that transferable skill. But then I'd always had a creative mind. I always designed, I always drew. If I was going to wear an outfit for Christmas, I would draw it and I'll give it to Taylor. Taylor would look at me like, what's wrong with you? I did it too. Yeah.
Okay, so this just proved that you don't need to have a background, but you need to be a creative person. Yeah, if you're a creative person, it's going to make it so easy for you. Honestly, it's going to make it so easy for you. We'll be talking about color management soon at a much later time in the course. But for now, just start trying your hands on anything about design. Design should fascinate you right now. Look through as many apps as you can find. You can go through Pinterest, gain inspiration from designs. Yeah, as a whole, generally as a whole, right now. You see, designer, this term designer, it doesn't only have to be UI UX designer. Yeah, honestly, you can function as a UI UX designer and also as a graphic designer as well. Yeah, you can also function as an illustration artist as well. You can do so much just with this foundation that you are a creative person. They are transferable, as Busayo has said. All right, so let's move on. These questions are too much, Jesus.
I've answered most of them. Just
Okay, have you answered the last one? Within the
What's the
context of web development, have you answered that one?
yeah.
Okay, awesome. So let's move on then, since that has been answered. I didn't know you have answered them actually. I thought that those are some other questions. Some other question. I'm just saying your.
They're all answers. They're all answers.
Okay. All right. Okay. So everybody's satisfied right now with the answers given so far. Yeah. Toby, question.
Yeah, you were saying something about designs, if I get it right. Like we need to be cautious of the font size,
Yeah.
the color, all of those things. Now, I'm trying to use WhatsApp as an example. WhatsApp
Yeah.
started out as a green color.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what if WhatsApp changed to a blue color tomorrow? How would that resonate with the users? Would they have to like do this pop up on their screen? What do you think about our new design? Is this something like that will happen? Or I just want to have an idea.
That question is not supposed to be for this session right
Jesus.
now. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You know what? I think WhatsApp is actually like is too fast of an example. Let's assume for a random brand that want to do like a revamp.
Okay.
Yeah. WhatsApp cannot. In fact, they cannot. They cannot. I can boast that WhatsApp cannot change their color. They can't.
Okay.
They can, there are so much research that's gone on before that color was picked. Just like saying you want to change color of Facebook. What color do you want to change Facebook color to? Or WhatsApp? People are already used to those colors. You don't. Yeah, it's actually branding. You don't try to change. You see, there are several. What's the word I'm looking for now? There are several psychology to this color. Psychology. Yeah, people are already used to this. Yeah, they're already used to your colors. If they are used to your colors, you don't change them anyhow. For a brand that is as big as WhatsApp, yeah, you don't. WhatsApp, look at WhatsApp's logo since it came out. It's the same thing, you know. Yeah. Facebook, when Facebook are going to change, Facebook logo is still the same thing. It's just that they morphed to Meta, and that's Meta new logo. Yeah, but even the color is still the same. So it's not a session for this conversation. Yeah, we are talking about UI UX design and not branding. So we can probably explore that at a much later time. Oh, I even have a screenshot here actually. For people that are born in 2007 and 8, they don't know what this is. This was what Facebook looked like when it came out for the very first time. Yeah, this is a very terrible UI. Look at a bunch of text, a bunch of buttons at the top here. Yeah, look at their buttons. Look at this intuitive for as an example. Look at this intuitive. Horrible. Yeah, horrible. But look at the logo. It remained the same. Even if there were going to be some changes, it's just minor, so that users don't necessarily need to relearn your system again. Yeah, they don't need to relearn your brand again. All right, so let's quickly move on from here. I actually wanted to bring this. We'll probably discuss on this later. We will discuss on this later. I want to hear your thoughts on what some of the laws or some of the laws of UX that have been broken on this particular design, but we'll do that later. So let's talk about let's see, intro to Figma. I'm talking about intro to Figma now, and I'm talking about a few things. I'm going to be giving you a link to go and learn more on this, but I just want to introduce you to the basics of them. So first off, first thing I want to talk about is the work environment. And when some people came to the work environment for the very first time, it looks so strange to them. Yeah, your UI may not look like mine right now because I have a whole lot of projects on mine. Yeah, but the first thing I want to talk about is projects on Figma. Projects. Wow, projects. So let's assume right now you're on a team. Yeah. For instance, I'm on several teams here. If you notice here, I'm on several teams here. And on these several teams, you can have different projects on these teams. Yeah. And what are projects? Say, for instance, I'm on a company that has different products or different, not different products or different users. And I want to design for different, the different user groups I want to design for them. I can decide that I want to create a project. Yeah. So you can create a new team. I don't want to do that right now because I'm not on the current paid plan. Yeah, I can decide to create a new team. Yeah, and when I create a new team, I will add members to the team. And probably after doing that, how do I go back now? Okay. Okay, there's a close icon here. This is not very intuitive, actually. Okay, so after creating a team, I'll start creating projects inside the team. Yeah, I can have as many projects as I can. Okay, let me show one of the team I'm currently in right now. So this is one of my team, and these are projects. Yeah, different projects. If I open this project right now, you will see that there are different files under this project. Yeah, you don't need to bother yourself so much about this right now. You don't need to, honestly. I'm just showing you like to understand your interface properly, what is going on here. That's why I'm going through all this. Yeah. So then when you create a file, as we have here, so this is a typical example of a file. Yeah, and under this file, I can have different pages. So if you notice here on my left panel here, I have different pages here already. To create a new page, I just click on this a plus icon and I add a new page. A new page gives me like a French blank, a blank canvas. I can customize the color to whatever I want. So I like it being black. I can, for instance, customize the color from here. Got here, right here. I can just change it to white. Yeah, I don't like white. I don't. So I just keep my so for instance, some of you, if you open yours, it's by default going to be white. Yeah, you can choose to customize to whichever color you want. You can use any color, honestly, but I don't advise you to be going to colors beyond black and white. If you are using blue, why are you using blue? That is a strange color to use as your canvas on Figma. Yeah, so black or white, just like you have your black theme or your light theme or your dark theme backgrounds on your any of your user interface. So that is that about the files. I've talked about project files and pages. So under this file, under this page right now, you see here I have layers. If you are used to an app like Photoshop, on Photoshop you work with layers. Yeah, on your design. Let's go to a page that I've already created some content already previously. Let me see. Okay, let me look at the design system. For instance, look at all these are layers. Yeah, all these are there. If I click on any of them, you see I'm touching something. Yeah, all these are layers. I can also expand on them. They just show it like a nitty-gritty of all that I have under my layers, and it is very, very important. I thank God I'm saying this right now. This is like a rough draft. I use this just as a practice for my other team. So this is not my work. Yeah. Normally, it is good design practice to name your layers. Very, very good design practice. So I want to encourage you. Okay, let me start. Let me come back to where's our intro to Figma right now. So we'll start with, say, there are different tools to explore here. Different shapes you can use here and different shortcuts as well. But I'm not going to be using any shortcuts right now. I'm going to be using the tool panel here. So here, right here, I have moved to or scale to, and I'm going to talk about the essence of this later on. Yeah, not now. I don't have anything on my canvas yet, so I can't talk about that yet. So we have frames, we have sections, and we have slice tools. Now, frame, I always advise whoever I'm teaching, as much as possible, use frames above rectangles. Yeah, and you will see the reason. It is very flexible to use frames to work. Very easy to use frames to work. You won't encounter a whole lot of challenges using frames to work as opposed to using rectangles alone. Now, don't get me wrong, rectangles have their place. Yeah, but I would advise you as much as possible, use frames as much as possible. We'll talk about that later on, how to explore using frames and all those. Now, section is, say, for instance, I've designed some things, some contents on my canvas. Let me show you an example of where it is being used. I closed that already. Oh, okay. Let me open my other team's work again. That's the only work I can be opening right now. I can't open any other work. By the way, this is called the skeletal loading. What is happening here? You see that there were some movements on my screen. Yeah, while it was loading, it's called skeletal loading. It's just like a means to reassure me that something's happening and I should expect something, as opposed to having just a line as a progress bar there. Okay, all right, moving on. I've talked a lot. Okay, moving on. So this is like a project my other team is working on, and what you have here, you have some designs here, and this frame, this outside frame here is called a section. And the reason why we have used sections actually is there are several reasons. Actually, there are several reasons to make sense of your canvas, so as not to have your designs flying everywhere. Yeah, have your designs arranged properly. So they have used it well here. And also when you want to ship to developers as well, you it is definitely important for you to make use of your sections. For instance, there's a new update called on Figma called Mark for Dev mode, or Mark for Dev. So if I click on this right now, it's already turns green. And when developers come here, they can already spot that this section here is ready for dev mode. So I'm going to revert that. So that's just one of the use case of sections, aside the fact that is used to make like a or create a good order layout of your designs and all those. You don't need them in designing itself, but you need them to arrange your workspace properly. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Where's this? Okay, so we have here rectangles. You have the rectangle too. Another rectangle, you have rectangles, lines, arrows, ellipse here. Ellipse also meaning circles. Polygon, you can draw as many polygon or as many sides as possible. Then star, and remember I said don't interrupt me with questions. Type a question on the chat. Star, you can create star shapes. Then you can also bring in images into Figma. All right. So the next one is I've already clicked on pen tool. Now the next one is pen tool. This pen tool is actually for illustrations. Yeah, there are several. In fact, let's say you want to create a rectangle shape, I can easily I can easily do that. I click on this, another one. See, it is snapping to the grid or snapping to itself, then close it. Yeah, that's a simple way to draw. I can add a field to this. Yeah, I can draw several shapes as well. I can use my pen tool to draw a curve as well. Yeah, see, I can draw curves with it. In fact, there are several things you can do with it. Several things you can do, but that's not for this. That's not for this session here. Then pen is just to create a scribble. Nothing serious about that on my design. Now we have text. You don't type in. Yeah, don't type in. So let's bring in a frame right now. I talked about frame before. I did not complete on that. So now, if you are designing, you will definitely be designing for different screen sizes. Now I've clicked on frame. This is frame here. I've clicked on frame. And did you notice what happened by the right of my screen? I'm not sure if you paid attention to it, but it changed. I'm going to change it back again. I click on frame. See what happens here. Now these are the different screen sizes I can design for. I have phone. My phone is not here anymore. Oh my goodness. All right. So I have iPhone 14, 15, Max, Pro Max, and all those. Android. Yeah. So if I want to say I want to design for maybe, you see, and also this will come in handy when you are conducting your research, because you also want to, let's say you are designing for people that are in Nigeria, as an example. Why are you lost? Let's say you're designing for people in Nigeria as an example, but let's say your target audience is for people in Ibadan. Yeah, let's say your target audience of people in Ibadan. You would agree with me. I'm not trying to bring Ibadan down, but I don't think Ibadan has a whole lot of people that uses iPhone. You have most people using Android as opposed to using iPhones in Ibadan. Yeah, so you probably may want to design first for your Android experience before you design for your iPhone experience as well, because you will definitely have some people out of the large number of people in Ibadan that uses iPhone as well. Yeah, but you want to design for the majority of your niche audience. So if your niche audience uses iPhone, you design for iPhone. If your niche audience uses Android, design for Android as well. Yeah, that's the importance of having all these different phone types and screen sizes and all those. So you have tablets, your iPad Pros and your Surface Pros, iPad for um Apple products, and Surface for, I think Surface is for Android, I believe. I want to believe so. Yeah. Okay, so you have your desktop screen sizes. You have MacBook Air, MacBook Pro 14, Pro 16, normal desktop. So if you are designing a native you're designing a native iOS app for desktop, you can't use desktop size or any other size that is not in consonance with the screen size you are designing for. If you're designing, let's say you're designing a landing page, a website, you go ahead and use your desktop. Yeah, so I've already clicked on desktop and desktop came in here. So this is my desktop size. So I'm designing for a desktop. Now look at this, my size, 1440 by 1024 pixels. That's the size of a normal desktop. Yeah. So I want to start my design from here. Although, keep in mind, should I do this now? No, we'll talk about it later on. I don't want to confuse you guys a whole lot or give you so much information for this session today. Okay, so you will design with, if you're designing for a landing page or a website, you will most likely use your desktop screen sizes. Yeah. Then if you are designing for, which other one do we have? Presentation. Remember I talked about slides. You can do presentation slides here. You can choose whichever slide you want to use here. Also Apple Watch as well. Yeah, you can design Apple Watch's interface here. You can design for different paper sizes as well. You can design a banner on Figma also. You can design for social media as well, Twitter posts. See all this. Dribble, LinkedIn cover, Dribble shorts, all this you have there here. Figma community. Yeah, there's a community on Figma actually that you can explore what other designers have done already and gain some insights into them. So if you want to design for Figma community as well, you can use any of all these interfaces. Oh, okay, these are the older design sizes. I was saying, where's my phone here? My phone is still not even ESF. Oh my goodness. Okay, all right. So let's move on quickly. So we have talked about frames. Now these are different sizes of your canvas. At that level, we talked about the canvas sizes. So let's assume now you want to type in text on Figma. You click on your text icon and you click on any of the section here and start typing. I mean, try typing whatever it is you want to type on. There are several. You can explore. If you want to change your font style, you can click here. Look, this place here, this section here talks about your text. Anything has to do with your text. So you can change your font style to whatever it is you want to use. But also keep in mind that whatever font you're going to be using for a web product, it actually have to be a Google font. And the reason why you want to use a Google font is because it is very, very it is what's the word now? Aside from the fact that it is robust, you can use it on several interfaces. So let's assume right now you're using, if you go and choose a font now that is not available on some browsers, your whole design is just going to scatter. Yeah, it's going to scatter. We want to make sure your font, the font you are using, is actually adaptable to several browser types, browser types actually. You want to make sure that those fonts are adaptable to several browser types. So there's a way to check Google fonts. For let me just please show you. Okay, I'm not only presenting Figma here. Maybe we'll talk about that when we start talking about your design systems later on. Okay, so for fonts, you can choose your different weight style. These are different font weights. So this is light font weight. You can't see my screen. Is anybody else not seeing my screen?
We can see it. It's just that maybe it's far. Maybe that's what the person means. I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay, let me see. Can
And you
you
have a
zoom?
couple of questions here.
Okay.
I wanted to just tell them that even if a frame size is not available there, they can always so long they know the measurements, the
Yeah.
sizes, they can always create it. Because someone asked the question earlier, one of the questions I answered on the chat box for you. The person was
Okay.
asking if there's no Android there, can they recreate it? Another question you have here is it possible to have a design that runs for both Android and iPhone? So you might just want to address that. Well done.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for calling my attention to that. Yeah, sure. Definitely, you can actually create design of screen sizes for. You can modify your screen size to whatever you want. You can, but if you are designing for specific devices, you want to make sure you are keeping in line with those particular screen size. So if I want to do that, I want to modify my screen size. Say maybe I have like a normal screen size I want to use. I can just go ahead and draw any shape I just go to my artboard immediately and draw it out, then now modify the size here. So this is the height, or this is the width. W means width and H means width, height, beg your pardon. So let's say I want to design for, say, the size called 1080 by 1850. Yeah. So I can choose to do whatever size I want to and start designing from here by myself. Yeah. So that answers that, I believe. Then is it possible to have a design that runs both for Android phones and iOS? Yes, definitely it is possible. Yeah. So let's say you're designing for a web app or a website. Yeah, a website can be accessed both on Android and on iOS or iPhone. Yeah. I'm going to talk about it in another way. I'm going to answer that question in another way. But a website can be accessed both on iPhone and iOS as well. So I wanted to push that thing to a much later time, but I probably may do that now. So let's assume I want to design for a website now. Yeah. And this size is my desktop size. Now I want to make sure that I also design for what it looks like on mobile, what it looks like on tablets, and what it looks like also on extended desktop. And what I mean by the extended desktop is, that when you open let's say you open a tab you open like a browser tab, your screen size or your screen doesn't fill your browser doesn't fill your screen except you maximize your window. Yeah, but if you don't maximize the window, it has a specific size. Now that size that doesn't maximize your window is this that we have here, which is 1440, yeah, in width. Now let's assume you want to actually create like this extended desktop display. Now for that, it is actually advisable to use the screen size of 1980. We actually even have it here. We have it here. Which is, no, it's not here actually. It's still presentation. You can use 1920. 1920 by 1080. Yeah, is your extended desktop window. Yeah, so that's very, or let's say I am for instance, I'm using two screens right now. I'm using my laptop screen and I'm using also my monitor screen as well. So when I open my design on my monitor screen, you see that there's a whole lot of space. My monitor screen is quite bigger than my laptop screen. So I want to also design a good responsive design is one that is adaptable to any kind of screen. So if my design is responsive now, so when it is not extended, this is the size I'm using, 1440. When it is very extended, it's fitting a very large screen. I'm using 1980, 1920, I beg your pardon, by 1080. Now let's assume now I want to also create the tablet experience as well for it. Yeah, what I'm going to do, frame. The shortcut for framing, I just click on F instead of going to click here. So you probably noticing I'm not clicking there always. Yeah, I'll just click on F and I'm on frame mode already. Yeah, and I go to my tablet. I can decide I want to use iPad tablet, iPad mini. Yeah, which is, oh my God, I don't think I need to be explaining these things to you guys now. This is too early. But the question that somebody asked is making me to explain this. All right, let me bring this in. So this is my tablet size. Yeah. And the last one I want to bring is what? Phone. You got that right. So I would come here as well. And I like playing with 375 by 812. It's very flexible. Of course, you can use anyone you want to use here. You can't actually use anyone you want to use here. But I like playing with 13 mini. Yeah, but let's actually want to use 14 Pro Max or 15 Pro Max. So this is it here. So now, a good responsive design. This is not for this class. Even if you don't understand, don't worry. We'll treat it again later on. Yeah. But let me just say, I just feel like if I say all these things, I don't say what I want to say now, I will be hanging somewhere. So I have to say it. So a good responsive design is just breakpoints. Now, what are breakpoints? Breakpoint is actually the point where your design gets to before it changes when your screen size increases. So right now, any screen size below 430 to as low as 375. Let's open the frame again and see the smallest screen size. See, we have 320. Yeah, 320 to 430. Any screen size from 320 to 430 will maintain this design, whatever design I have here. So the breakpoint for my mobile experience is 430. Yeah. Now, if my screen size now increases above 430, yeah, the system automatically detects that I am building or that the device I'm using is a tablet. So I'm going to now design my tablet experience on this screen size here. Yeah. So if your browser detects that the device you're using, yeah, it is above 430, even if it is like 450, yeah, it's going to adopt this screen size, the design here. I hope you're paying attention. Yeah. Now, from this screen size, which is 744, to the next one, which is 1440. Yeah. 744 is another breakpoint. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, 744 is another breakpoint actually. Now, any design from 744 way to 1440, yeah, is going to maintain the size of my tablet. Yeah. Now, once the device screen size have hit 1440 and it's going above that, now it's assuming that I'm using a normal desktop to access that content. So it's going to display that content in whatever we have designed it here. Yeah. So now my breakpoints, remember, from my desktop is don't worry, don't interrupt me. Just hold on. Yeah. If you interrupt me, I will lose my train of thought. Don't interrupt me. Yeah, just keep your questions or ask them on the chat. Okay, so any screen size from 744 way up to 1440 is going to assume that it is a tablet. If you notice here, let me open my tablet screen sizes again. Look at my Surface Pro. Is actually the highest, which is 1440, and which is actually even the same size with this. Yeah, with my desktop. So if I'm opening my device, if I'm opening my website from a Surface Pro, since my breakpoint 1440 is kind of falling somewhere pretty in the middle of my my breakpoint of tablet to what's it called now, desktop, automatically the system already detects that this is actually a tablet that's accessing the platform. Yeah, so it's going to automatically adapt that display to a tablet size. But if I go anything above 1440, it's going to start showing me as a desktop design. So if I go anything be above now, I see here from 1440 right up to the last one is what, 1920. So when I get to 1920, my screen size also changes. I'm going to show you an example quickly. Let me drop my screen. Yeah, I'll show you an example quickly. I'm already pressed for time, but because of that question, let me show you this. I've said it before, don't interrupt me, please. Yeah, I would answer the question, but don't interrupt me. Ask your question on the chat. I get distracted so easily. Okay, so I'm presenting my screen now again. Oh, snap. What am I presenting? Okay, yeah. Please forget about that currency I'm converting there. Okay. Um, all right. So look at this right here. Yeah, this is now a desktop size 1440. Now just take a look at what happens when I extend this, when I maximize this. Look at my padding here increases. Yeah, it increases. Several other contents as well. In fact, the sizes of my frames increases as well. Let me minimize it again. You see, this has reduced. Yeah, so this is showing like a behavior, the behavior of my application. Yeah, when it hits different screen size and all those. That is why it is very important that when I'm designing, when you are designing, you design for your several screen size. That is, it's going to make a developer's work very easy. But most times we don't get to use, we don't get to do everything. Sometimes we just do the mobile and the desktop alone. Yeah, and leave the other one for the developers to figure out themselves. But that's not good design practice. Yeah, a good design practice is to actually design for the different experiences here for that, so that it is easy for your users to explore those applications or those screen sizes in any app they want to, anyhow they want to. Okay, so the last question is, I think I've answered all the question actually. Have I? Some people are asking the question. What are your questions? What's his name now? Is it Timmy or what? You're asking a question.
I think it's Toby.
Toby. Yes, Toby. What's the question?
Anyways,
Okay, thank you. The question is this, because I've been wondering, designing for different screens. Once you design for mobile, do you copy and paste on a bigger screen, or you have to start the design entirely on a bigger screen for
Okay,
it to
so
adapt to that bigger
yeah,
size?
you cannot use the same design element you use on your mobile for your desktop. Yeah, your fonts are going to change obviously. Yeah, let's assume now you are using, say, now look at this as my H1 text. When I say H1 means header text. Let's assume that my header text for this is 120 and I'm using bold. Let's say, what should we have as a text here? Welcome to Tech in Transit. Yeah. Now let's bring this a
you
little
can't
bit.
see your screen. I think you're still showing the design stream.
Oh, sorry. I need to now show my monitor now. Okay, yeah. So let's assume now this is what I just wrote now. This is my H1. H1 here means my header text. Yeah, that's the biggest ever text that's going to be on my page. Yeah, which is what I want to use to gain attention of my users. So let's assume I use this as my header text here. Now, this as my header text cannot work on mobile. It can't also work on my tablet. Let's bring this now. Duplicate this and bring it here. You see, it's already too big for this. Now bring it into mobile. It's too big. So your design elements are going to be different from mobile, for desktop, and for tablets as well. So you need to create design systems for every one of them. So if I'm creating cards, you need to create different card types for your desktop, different card types for your tablet and your mobile. The same with your buttons and everything actually. So it's different, but of course it must be consistent. If it's a responsive design, it must be consistent. There must be like the user should not find a difficult or different UI. Let's say I've gotten to my desktop and I'm seeing something else. I'm coming to my mobile, I'm seeing something entirely different. Yeah, that's not a responsive design. Yeah, but keep in mind that, let's say for instance, I'm digressing a lot. We won't end to this session if I keep digressing this way. All right, I hope I've answered that question. Yeah, we will definitely be talking about them later on, but I don't think that this session right now is for those. Any other question before we move on quickly? I want to end this session now because we're already pressed for time. We have just 1 more minute to go. 1 more minute. So I'm going to end this session in the next 5 minutes. Yeah. In the next 5 minutes, we're going to end this session. But I want to have questions before we end. I needed to teach you guys some other concepts on grid systems today. On what else? I wanted to also design something for you guys today on the call, but The link I'm going to share to you. Yeah, let me share it now. I'll share it now to this chat here. Just give me a second. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay. Okay, you know what? I'll drop it into the message. I'll drop it into your group. Yeah, I'll drop it into your group where what I need you guys to do. There's a tax on that video I'm sending to you. Let me see. I want to send that into you now. I don't want to wait. If I wait, I may not send it immediately. So I want to send it now. I want to send it immediately. Oh shoot. I can see it's here. Does anybody have any question, please? I just have like 2 minutes to take questions, then we'll wrap up. No question? All right. I'm glad that there's no question then. Toby, go ahead. Okay, so I've just sent to the group here it's like a 1 hour 20 something minutes video where you get to learn the fundamentals of Figma, how to most of what I've actually even taught here today. You learn it again there, but at the end of the day, there's a tax on that video. So what you are doing, you are creating a simple sign-up form, a simple sign-up page. I beg your pardon. Yeah, mobile, a simple mobile sign-up page. So that's I'm typing it now. Create a simple sign-up mobile page for any brand. Okay, so this is your task for this week. Watch the video, 1 hour 20 minutes. Pay attention to all. Yeah. Then as soon as you are done, you can start send your submission to the group. And I want you all, aside your facilitator here, Busayo, she's going to be critiquing your work. But aside Busayo critiquing your work, I want every other person to critique every other person's work. So I want you to look at this person's work and critique the work, because that's part of being a UX designer actually. Yeah. Nobody I don't want to be the one critiquing everybody's work. I want you all to have that. That's a skill. Trust me, that's a very, very huge skill. The ability to critique every other person's work. So as soon as you have your submission, please don't be shy, no matter how it looks like. Yeah, no matter how it looks like. In fact, if I look at my first ever designs, I will be laughing. Everybody went through that process. Yeah. So no matter how it looks like, send it. And the critique that's going to be given is going to help you to know what to do better and what not to do. Yeah. So Toby, please ask a question before we wrap up today.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, the design you have on your page, the mobile, the desktop, all those screens, if you are to assemble them in one space, I believe it has to be in a section, right? Or in a frame?
A section.
Section. Okay, thank you, sir. That was my question.
All right, you're welcome. So if I want to, for instance, now push this, no, you know what? If I want to now push this, I would have a couple of mobile designs. I will have a couple of tablet designs. The same thing. Let's say I designed like 20 pages. So I will have 20 pages of mobile, 20 pages of tablet, 20 pages of desktop, and 20 pages of desktop display. I would now arrange all the mobile into a section. Yeah, say I have this, shoot. So all these are, let's say these are the pages I have. Yeah, then I will then come to my section here, create the section, and remember always name. Yeah, this now name is mobile designs. You can change the color of this to any color you want to, actually. Yeah, any color you want to make it to stand out. All right. So I think we're done. Can we copy number? Yeah, copy as much. I get inspiration from anywhere. You can get inspiration from Pinterest, from Dribble, from Behance. Yeah, but I want your design to stand out. Show me some of the stuff you are made of. Yeah, I want to see amazing designs. Blow my mind off. Yeah, blow my mind off for the designs you're going to be doing. Don't be comfortable in doing just the basic or the minimum. Go over and beyond. Blow my mind off. Yeah. All right. So if there's not a question, then where are we submitting? You submit it to the group, to the WhatsApp group. Send your designs to the WhatsApp group. That's where we're going to be doing most of our submissions. Yeah? Okay. Adigun Bayowa, this is the last question we're taking today. Last question. Go ahead.
For the sake of others, I think you should teach everyone how to download your designs, because you're saying I don't people know how to download their designs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that's
That's spot
to
on.
help others.
Okay, so
Thank you.
if you are done with your designs, yeah, you just go to export. Yeah. When I click on export, I see different style, different files type I want to export. I can export as PNG, JPEG, SVG, or PDF. But for this, I would expect to export as JPEG, not SVG. SVG as for Illustrator files. Remember we talked about that. You can create Illustrator files with Figma. So export as SVG or JPEG. Then click on export, and you have a modal here that shows you where to export it to, and that is pretty much it. Thank you. That was spot on, Mayowa. That was spot on. All right. So we are done today. Oh my goodness. Okay. Last one.
Sorry, I thought before we export, because sorry, I thought before we export, there is one number like 1x, 2x, 3, like the quality level. I thought it's 4 times. I didn't know that you could use just one.
Let's look at it again.
That export place, by the left,
Yeah.
after suffix. No, left. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it 1x we'll click on, or 4x?
This is to increase the file size now, not necessarily the quality. Yeah, the file size.
Okay. I thought. Okay.
Ken, I've used it before for my Instagram posts. I usually do 2x. It appears. Yeah, it appears. I'll show you a link of a UX designer that encourages that, especially for Instagram posts. But it's not necessary for. It's not really. It doesn't matter. But it just makes the quality a little better.
I don't actually design Instagram posts on Figma. I don't.
Oh.
So I only design anything that has to do with web designs on Figma, and most times I don't even get to export. I don't most times. I don't pay attention to those.
Oh, okay, okay.
I've not exported as 2x. All my designs are really clean, but not. Well, we learn every day. I'll try it next time. I'll try to export as 2x next time. All right, we're good, yeah. And I want to. Okay, no, we'll talk about that later. We're already pressed for time. All right, guys, take care of yourself. Have a good week. Any questions you have, like we've been told, ask them on the group. Okay, besides, do you mind sharing these links to the group, and also
Absolutely,
some of the tasks that was supposed to be done today? Thank you, everybody. Do you have any last word before we leave?
I'll say that please engage members of the team. If you're stuck anywhere, just call someone within the team or chat someone that, hey, have you done your assignment? Can you help me with this or that? So don't use that an excuse that, oh, you're not around tomorrow, or you're not going to be coming next week or whatever. Come, find a friend and ask them for help, right? Yeah, that's it.
All right, guys, take care. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, guys. Please leave.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
You can leave, please, so that I can stop the recording.